I've been trying to point out the double standard when it comes to reading children's books in libraries. You can read these books and you'll get awards for reading these books. This one here is Welcome to St. Hell, My Trans Teen Misadventure. Now, in this book, produced by Scholastic, there are pornographic sex scenes as well as pictures of how you can inject yourself with hormones and girls can turn themselves into, modestly equipped boys. By doing certain things and hide all this from your parents. This is all being inclusive. This is all being compassionate. But when I want to go in and read a book like this, which is about love, compassion, joy, and peace, that is indoctrination. And I say, well, wait a minute. I think we're playing a word game here. I thought the name of the game was diversity, equity, inclusion. Why are you only wanting one kind of book? That's not diversity. Why are you not letting me come into the library? That's not equity. And you're excluding me and all these hundreds of parents standing outside in the parking lot from coming in because you think they're a bunch of terrorists? We have to also recapture the language and understand that words are very, very powerful. If we're going to speak the truth to people and speak it in love, you have to be rooted and grounded in what is truth and what is love, or else you're going to let others make you believe that you're a bigot, that you're a racist, and that you're a hater, when you're not.
You bring up this issue of book bans, and we get attacked for encouraging parents to essentially ban pornographic books from schools because we think that there's a certain age where, in a certain place, where it's completely unacceptable to bring in books like these into schools. I'm holding here an article from NPR from 2022, not that long ago. The case for starting sex education in kindergarten through hula hoops recommended. This attack that now conservatives are engaged in book bans could not be more preposterous because what the left does is they want to ban every single piece of content on the conservative side. But now they're saying conservative parents are horrible because they're banning books. You know, I know, Connor, you are obsessed with freedom. You're you're pretty obsessed with freedom, right? It's fair to say you dedicated your entire life to freedom. You know, what are your thoughts about book bans in schools?
Perhaps an unconventional one, and that is I think it's missing the mark of where the real problem is. We've talked a little bit about this already. If you're talking about book bans in schools, what you're really talking about is who gets to have the levers of power to determine what books are in there. And so when the context of what we're talking about is a public or a government school, that is inherently a political process. And people of wildly different political and faith backgrounds or of no faith or whatever all have as much right as you or I do as taxpayers to contest what is happening. So you might lament that the community makeup, because people are moving in from some other, neck of woods, that the community makeup is changing and now the people who disagree with you are more in number and therefore they can go to the school and say, we want the boys to be able to compete as girls in, sports, or we want these books in libraries. When we're admitting that it's okay to have education be a politicized process, I think we've already lost.
You've already lost the battle. It's just a matter of time.
Absolutely. So to me, again, I don't want to demean anyone who sends their kids to public school. I call myself a product of the public school system. My parents, like you, thought homeschooling was weird, and so they never even entertained the idea for me. But to me, I think we need to rescue a lot of these kids who are in an environment that is extremely political. My family, for the better part of a decade, have been part of a homeschool co-op. Bunch of families coming together, share resources. Rather than a mom who wasn't good in biology teaching her kids science, there's a mom in that group who was good at biology who can teach science to all the kids. So they're almost like mini micro schools, but with people of shared backgrounds and faith. You don't see any of this in there. There's no combat over what books there are going to be. Or like it's a non-politicized process. And what we find is that as parents leave a political process, education process, and come to a non-political one, it's like a breath of fresh air. Oh my gosh, I don't have to be in combat mode every day. I don't have to fight people who have different values. So to me, it's that we've gone down this path that too many people take for granted. It's just what you do. It's natural. It's common. Again, I thank Fauci and all of them for driving as hard as they did through COVID because it has enlightened so many people that there are alternatives.